You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Y&R fans. It is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we got to talk about those Romalotti rascals, father and son, Daniel and Danny. Although they're not biologically related, they sure do act a lot like each other. And right now, they are both behaving badly when it comes to the women in their lives. Are they both pathological cheaters? Did Daniel learn this behavior from Danny? Let's dive in, but first, please click subscribe if you haven't already. So, Daniel Romalotti is in a serious relationship with Lily Winters, who's off screen right now. They wrote a weird plot to cover for Christel Khalil's maternity leave. Lily's daughter, Maddie, had a boarding school teacher die in a wildfire. So Lily is off emotionally supporting Maddie. I don't know if that idea came from throwing a dart at random soap ideas, but it's bizarre. At any rate, she's out for weeks to come on her maternity leave. And while the cat's away, the mice are definitely playing. As they say, Heather Stevens is lurking around, trying to cozy up to Daniel, literally, like when he fell asleep on the sofa watching the movie and she cuddled up to him, wrapped herself around him, knowing she could say, "Oh, whoops, I didn't realize I did it. I was sleeping." Of course, Lucy Romalotti snapped a picture of them. Meanwhile, Daniel's daddy, Danny, is romancing Christine Williams and talking about getting serious with her again, calling her his muse, all this stuff. But at the same time, he is openly allowing Phyllis Summers to come sniffing around, and he is not being honest about it with Cricket. He is also behaving badly. When Phyllis showed up at the Romalotti apartment the other day and started talking about how they both have these feelings, don't you feel it, Danny? Danny should have just told her to leave if he is indeed serious about Christine. But Phyllis kissed him, shoved her tongue in his mouth, and was writhing all over him like he was a cat, like she was a cat in heat. And he did finally stop it, and then she left, and Christine showed up. Without missing a beat, Danny starts kissing Christine. Do you know how furious the ex-DA would be if she found out Danny was leaking Phyllis's spit into her mouth, Frenching them one after another? Just ew. Tacky and deceitful and cheating behavior that Danny should not be doing. All right, let's swap back to Daniel and rant about him for a minute. Lucy is pushing the Heather-Daniel reunion. She snapped that photo of them, and I suspect she's going to put it somewhere on social media that she knows Lily will see it. And then on Tuesday, January 16th, spoilers say, Heather flat out tells Daniel, "I'm falling in love with you again." And don't forget, they kissed after he woke up to her sleeping on his chest. So yeah, Daniel's definitely cheating. And, you may recall that Daniel wanted to reconcile with Heather when he first came back to Genoa City, but she wasn't interested. She'd found another man, said she was falling in love, and she still had issues with Daniel. We never really heard specifically what tore them apart, but apparently it was all Daniel's fault. But now Lily has whipped him into shape, and so Heather wants to benefit from all that effort and steal him back from the woman who got him back into shape. You guys know how it is. When you train a man, you shouldn't lose him to somebody else who likes him because of the way you trained him. No, Daniel is definitely cheating. Now back to Danny. He's planning a romantic getaway with Christine. He wrote a new song for Christine, named it for Hawaii, where they got married. He got her a bracelet like the one he'd given her years before. And by all accounts, they seem to be fast tracking their reunion. But at the same time, he's not shutting Phyllis down. And Phyllis is acting super skanky lately. She put on those sexy undies. She met Danny at the jazz lounge. And then she was pulling her dress down to show him part of the bra. It's crass behavior. That's not how an adult woman of 58 years should be acting in public. Does she think she's Madonna? What if one of her kids walked in? What if someone else's kid walked in? All right, it's just ew. And then Phyllis made her move. This is Tuesday, sucking face with him, and he actually started kissing her back. That man is making out with his rapist. There's no other way to describe what she did. Back in the day, she drugged and forced herself on him and then lied about her pregnancy. Phyllis is all talk about being a new person when she's acting like she always does. And on the Wednesday, January 17th episode, Christine goes off on Danny because she walks into the GCAC and sees him playing tonsil hockey with Phyllis Summers. And let's be real, none of this is happening because Phyllis loves Danny. She doesn't. She just really, really, really hates Christine, and she doesn't want the bug to have the aging rock star no matter what. If Christine wasn't around, Phyllis might not even pay attention to Danny. I mean, he's clearly an idiot right now. Maybe he's trying to recapture his youth by letting two ladies fight over him. You know, this whole situation has to be stroking his ego. And what's really ironic is that Danny actually gave Daniel some romantic advice the other day about fidelity. He warned him that Lucy was trying to matchmake a reunion between him and Heather, and he should, watch out because he knows he's serious with Lily. But at least in Daniel's case, I think he legitimately loves both Heather and Lily. Where with Danny, I feel like he may love cricket, but with Phyllis, he just loves the attention he gets from her. Letting a lunatic like Phyllis back in his pants is a recipe for disaster. She's toxic, and that's it. Don't get me wrong. I love Phyllis. I'm one of those soap watchers that loves a villain. So I'm not being insulting. I'm being honest. Michelle Stafford's great, but Phyllis is a hot, soapy mess, and that's why I love her. Christine's not some great prize. I actually don't feel sorry for her, particularly because she was just goading Phyllis about her upcoming trip with Danny. If she hadn't been rubbing all that about her and Danny into Red's face, then Phyllis wouldn't have pulled the stunt she did. To me, it's just icky to watch Christine and Phyllis fight over Danny, who it's not exactly a prize himself. This is like, I don't know, watching a three-way boxing match between four, mediocre boxers. I don't even know. As for Daniel, Heather, and Lily, he's behaving despicably. Lily's off dealing with a grieving child, and he's letting his ex shove her tongue in his mouth. Lily deserves better. She always has the worst men in her life that do not do right by her. Kane was a cheating con man. Billy didn't do her any favors. Now Daniel's a cheater. Maybe while she's off dealing with the wildfire drama, Lily can just find a hunky fireman and forget about unfaithful Daniel. It's the least he deserves. And as for what Danny deserves, I think it would be hilarious if he chose Phyllis because she's gotten him all worked up, and then after Christine's like, okay, whatever, walks away, then Phyllis loses interest as well. I think that would be so funny because it's all about the rivalry, not the guy. So what do you think? Are both the Romalotti men reprobate cheaters? Do you blame the women, the men, or both in this scenario? Who do you want to see Daniel and Danny wind up with? Drop your comments. Please click subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely come back soon. As always, it is Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.